Victorian police are making it almost impossible for car enthusiasts to enjoy their cars. This is a real issue in today's society, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit. If you're watching this video, you are probably just as into cars as I am. Here is my S15 and here is my Turbo EFXR6 project, which has been an ongoing thing on my channel for the better part of 2 years now. And unfortunately, there isn't much point in owning these cars anymore, and you might think that I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I genuinely think so. This Silvia I have owned for the better part of 4.5, almost 5 years, and I used to daily this car for the first couple of years. I loved it. I intentionally didn't modify it too much so that it would fly under the radar with cops. For a few years I did get away with it. The modifications that I did to this car weren't overly dramatic. I spent tens of thousands of dollars on this car to make sure that it was safe to drive and that I wouldn't run into any problems with police. But as many of you guys may know, about 3 or 4 months ago, I got major defected in this car and I made a video about it and it gained a lot of traction. As you can see, this car looks very stock. The paint on it is brand new, it's got stock wheels on it, it's got roadworthy tires, and I still got done majorly. Now the point I'm trying to make is cops, especially in Melbourne, basically make it their life's mission to catch car enthusiasts. Now a lot of NPCs and a lot of people that aren't into cars would just call us hoons, but I wouldn't call myself a hoon, and a lot of my mates aren't hoons either. Obviously, if we're crossing boundaries, we are very well aware of it, and most of the car community is like that as well. But over the past couple of years, ever since COVID ended, the Australian government and especially local governments have absolutely lost their minds about car enthusiasts, and they're completely losing track of what they actually set out to do. Now I just want to make things very clear. I love cops, I'm very respectful to them. Whenever I've gotten pulled over, 9 times out of 10 they let me off. It's the small number of them that are on their high horse and they ruin it for everyone. I'm going to talk about some scenarios that have happened to me personally and a few of my mates, and that have happened to other people online. Like I said before, about 3 or 4 months ago, I got major defected in my S15 behind me. I was driving completely minding my own business. I wasn't being a hoon or anything, I was driving respectively. I was going to go help out a mate to go pick up his car from the paint shop. And what happened was I turned onto a major road in southeast Melbourne, and there was a operation set up to basically catch heavy vehicles that are doing the wrong thing, that are overloaded, truckies that have spent too much time on the road, and it's actually dangerous. Which is all well and good. I am very in favor of that because trucks kill a lot of people every year. But what I didn't expect was for them to get bored with trucks and actually start pulling in normal cars as well, which is exactly what happened to me in this thing. It was a completely normal interaction. They asked for my license, they did a drug test, and they did an alcohol test, which, I obviously passed. Then after that, a very sarcastic and rude cop came up to me and basically started telling me everything that's wrong with my car. And of course, shortly after that, I was moved to the side and they decided to start defecting my car. Now, I didn't know at the time, but I actually got defected by the National Heavy Vehicle Regulation of Victoria. I don't know about you guys, but this is not a heavy vehicle. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is that what the fuck are they doing? Like, genuinely. The conclusion that I gathered from that entire interaction I had with police is that they were completely bored and they just need to make quota. Now, if that's not up, I don't know what is. If I was being an idiot, if I was being a hoon, if I was, if I clicked third gear down the street and I was blazing tires, fair enough. But I was being completely normal. Highway Patrol have made it their life's mission, and basically whoever is in charge for regulating the roads here in Australia and especially in Victoria, they have absolutely lost their minds. There is a rule in Victoria where if your car is too loud, you can be issued a notice, and it's called an EPA notice. And there are 2 types of EPA notices. There's one for emissions and there's also one for noise, which is the most common one that you get. You don't have to be a cop, you don't have to be in the government, you don't have to be anything involved with authority. You can be a normal person and you can simply just report someone's car on the basis that it might be noisy. And this has happened to a lot of people I know. In fact, it's happened to a lot of people with stock cars. Back when I was working as a mechanic at Audi, a well-known influencer that I followed on Instagram posted on his story that his stock RS3 got EPA'd. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. I was absolutely astounded, and he ended up finding out that it was one of his neighbors that didn't like him for whatever reason. Every single time I helped him out, and I decided to basically tell him to come into where I worked, and he got them cleared because the technicians looked over the car and found out that it was stock. If that's not revenue raising, I don't know what is. Like I said before, that is just absolute total nonsense. If you guys don't know, I live in the state of Victoria, also known as the nanny state in terms of the rules, with everything to do with modified cars. If you're not familiar with the rules in Victoria and you don't live in Victoria, I'll just go through a few. So, number 1, this doesn't apply to me because I run stock wheels. If you run anything other than the stock wheel or 15% over the rolling diameter of a factory wheel and tire setup, you will get defected. For cars with aftermarket suspension, if you have excessive camber, you will get defected. Heading on inside the car, if you have a shift knob without a shift pattern on it or anywhere in the car, that is a defect. The point I'm trying to make here is that a lot of laws that were implemented many years ago are still in effect, and they don't necessarily apply to cars or road rules nowadays. And another point that I forgot to mention earlier is that Highway Patrol and the National Heavy Vehicle Regulators are so worried about all these modified cars with lowered suspension and tires that are a little bit too big for the car and gear knobs that don't have shift patterns, and they're forgetting about the fact that most of the roads around Victoria and probably other states aren't up to standards. There's potholes everywhere, there's constant roadworks going on with nothing actually happening. I think it's a total and utter contradiction from the Australian government and local governments. The Victorian Police Force recently put out a few posts that over the last 3 quarters of 2024 and the first quarter of 2025, they are going to be conducting a number of defect operations around Victoria. Now, that's all well and good. I don't necessarily agree with it. Defecting operations, that's just basically another word for revenue raising. But the problem was how they actually notified people about it. Obviously, everyone has social media nowadays, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everything, blah, blah, blah. Victoria Police made a Facebook post. It was very condescending and borderline insulting to the car community. They are basically saying that if you are doing anything with your car, if it's even slightly modified, they will issue you a defect notice. They even said in one of the posts that if you're at Station Pier, a very well-known spot in Victoria along Beach Road, taking photos of your car, police will be there. They are monitoring the car park around Station Pier. They will come and they will defect you. I don't know about you guys, but that is absolutely revolting. Car enthusiasts nowadays can't even leave their house to go and take photos of their car. Not even driving the car, just standing outside and taking a photo of it. Similar to what I'm doing now. Should I dare to leave my driveway and go down the street to the beach, car park, and take photos? No, that's a defect. Now, like I said earlier in the video, and I'm going to repeat myself again, I have a huge amount of respect for police officers because at the end of the day, they're just doing their job. They're also people like you and I, but the people that are higher up in Victoria Police, and I'm sure this applies to other states in Australia, they are issuing these orders to these cops, and they are basically bottlenecking themselves for years, decades to come. Because people are going to respect cops less and less because of antisocial behavior that they are going to be conducting and have been conducting over the last couple of years. Now, I love cars. Obviously, my whole life revolves around them. I love this car especially, but it's sort of coming to my attention that there's almost no point owning cars like these in Victoria. I'm not sure about other states, but in Victoria, it's getting harder and harder to enjoy cars because of stuff that's happening with authority departments like Victoria Police. I feel very sorry for boys and girls that are just getting their licenses, that are into cars, that just want to go out for a cruise, go take some photos of their first car, and they can't even do that because it's considered antisocial behavior purely based on the fact that their car might be a little bit too low, a little bit too loud, it might have a pod filter on it. It just doesn't make sense. I think we're completely losing track of what makes Australia so great, in that it's a massive melting pot for so many cultures, so many different hobbies, and one of the biggest hobbies in Australian culture is cars. We used to have a massive car industry here in Australia. All that people want to do is just like cars, enjoy them, take photos, drive them, and it seems like that's becoming more and more illegal as years go by. I want to hear what you guys have to say, whether you agree with me or not. Please please comment down below your experiences with Highway Patrol, experiences with owning a modified car, because this is outrageous. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.